The Strait of Hormuz is one of the most critical maritime choke points in the world. Nestled between the Persian Gulf and the Gulf of Oman, this narrow stretch of water is barely 39 kilometers wide at its narrowest point. Yet, despite its size, its significance on the global stage is immense. Every day, millions of barrels of crude oil and liquefied natural gas pass through these waters, making it the lifeblood of energy transportation from the Middle East to global markets. About a fifth of the world's oil supply, representing roughly 20 million barrels per day, flows through the Strait of Hormuz. That's more than any other oil transit choke point on the planet. The economies of major oil-producing countries like Saudi Arabia, Iraq, the United Arab Emirates, and Kuwait depend on this vital passage to deliver their products to customers in Asia, Europe, and beyond. Tankers loaded with energy resources make the narrow journey through the strait, bound for refineries and industries that power homes, vehicles, and economies around the globe. But what if this lifeline were suddenly cut off? The prospect is not just hypothetical. Iran, which borders the northern coast of the strait, has repeatedly threatened to close this vital route in response to international tensions and sanctions. The implications of such a move would reverberate far beyond the region, shaking the foundations of global energy security and supply chains. If Iran were to close the Strait of Hormuz, even temporarily, the immediate impact would be felt in the world's oil markets. Prices would likely spike as traders and governments scramble to secure alternative supplies. The simple threat of closure has, in the past, sent oil prices soaring. A real shutdown, even for a few days, could unleash panic and uncertainty, driving up costs for consumers and businesses everywhere. For countries that rely heavily on Middle Eastern oil, especially in Asia and Europe, the disruption would be acute. Refineries may face shortages, and strategic oil reserves would be tapped. But these are only short-term solutions. As inventories dwindle, energy prices could climb further, leading to higher costs for transportation, manufacturing, and everyday goods. The ripple effects would touch nearly every aspect of modern life, from the price of gasoline at the pump to the cost of goods on supermarket shelves. Beyond the immediate economic shock, the closure of the strait would also disrupt the intricate logistics of global supply chains. Oil tankers would be forced to reroute, often traveling thousands of extra kilometers, adding time and expense to deliveries. Some regional producers do have pipelines that bypass the strait, but these alternatives cover only a fraction of total capacity. The world simply cannot replace the volumes that routinely transit through Hormuz overnight. Moreover, the geopolitical consequences would be profound. Naval forces from around the world, including the United States and its allies, have long maintained a presence in the region precisely because of the strait's strategic importance. A closure could spark military confrontations, further escalating tensions and putting civilian lives and global commerce at risk. In the longer term, such a crisis would accelerate calls for energy diversification and security. Countries might redouble their investments in renewable energy, seek new sources of oil, or reconsider their reliance on distant suppliers. But these are changes that take years, even decades, to implement. In the meantime, the world's economy remains deeply tied to the unbroken flow of oil through the Strait of Hormuz. In essence, the strait is not just a geographic feature. It is a linchpin of the global energy system. Its uninterrupted operation is essential for economic stability, energy security, and the smooth functioning of supply chains worldwide. The stakes could not be higher, making the Strait of Hormuz a focal point for diplomacy, security, and the future of global trade.